What is up, everybody? Pongroomproductions back with another movie review, and today we are going to review Blue Beetle. We are about 15 minutes out of the movie. We're going to give you our thoughts on it. Mike, what'd you think of the movie?
Are we going with numbers first, or are we going straight up, like just talking about it?
Just talk about it. This is going to be
Spoiler time.
spoiler heavy.
Yeah,
We're going to get into it. We're going to talk plot. We're going to talk mid.
mid. I had not really good expectations for the movie, just based on not knowing even the character from not that I'm a big DC guy, I'm more Marvel. Never heard of them. The previews, trailers were meh. Didn't really care for it, and the movie pretty much met my expectations, which were very much mediocre. Expecting movie.
Yes.
And what stood out to me the most was that I think Susan Sarandon was a terrible casting choice as the bad guy. It did
I
nothing.
agree.
It
agree.
was just terrible.
She was monotone the entire movie.
It just didn't make sense. It didn't fit.
Yeah.
She didn't fit. If anything, I felt more like I had no reaction to her at all. I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait for her to get beaten. I was like, whatever. Who cares?
When she blew up at the end, you were like, thank God.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
for
hold
a
on.
sec. Was
Hold
I getting
on.
too ahead? Because I have something to say about that.
Yeah, that's too far into it.
We'll
Can't
get
just
there.
skip right into it.
We'll
All right,
get
so
there.
my issues with this movie are many. The production value is high. It's a pretty good DC movie in terms of the DC universe. There's some worse ones out there. This one had some high quality stuff. It actually had not too much CGI, although there was.
I guess there were some practical effects. Yeah.
There was decent fighting that was, okay, that was cool. But my main issue with the Blue Beetle is that it's copying too much from too many other superhero movies.
What can they do?
Yeah, I know, but the father dies. It reminded me of Spider-Man with Uncle Ben.
There's a lot of Iron Man
Yes.
there.
There's a lot of Iron Man suit stuff and, Iron Man homages. It's like, okay, you're borrowing from this, you're borrowing from that.
However, we don't really know about Blue Beetle. Maybe Blue Beetle predates Iron Man. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I'm coming into this not knowing a lot.
So that's what I was going to add to it. If this movie came out before, like earlier in the DC universe, in terms, and maybe even a couple years, it would have been better to me. But because all those other movies came out and they're, leaps and bounds better, it's just like the character plot, the arcs. It's just we've seen it and it doesn't land. I mean, the acting's great in the movie.
Yeah. I'd say so.
The emotional scenes were good. The main actor,
Xolo Mariduena, I believe, from Cobra Kai.
He's from Cobra Kai, yes. The main actor, the main character from Cobra Kai on Netflix. He did good. His acting's good. He's got a lot of on-screen charisma. And everyone else acted pretty well as well. But it's just the plot. It was like the lights from Tron. You know what I mean? It was just.
I don't think they were deliberately going for. It's just that everything has been done.
They took a little bit of.
You think they did?
They took a little. They cherry picked what worked with all these other superhero movies, and let's just squeeze it all into one.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I guess. I gotta say, the emotional stuff they did with it didn't hit me. It felt really forced, and it just didn't work for me. I mean, I appreciate what they were going for, and there were some neat moments, like when he saw his father in like the purgatory or whatever you want to call it, like not quite,
kind of like Black Panther.
Like I liked how they had all the millions of candles. I thought that was really cool, and I'm sure that's culturally, accurate. But anyway, that was really neat. Special effects in the movie were okay. Fighting, but
so one thing. There was CGI on the villain, but then there was an actual costume on the main character that
you could see up
you
close.
can definitely tell. They need to stick with less CGI. There were CGI flamingos in the movie.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did.
And it's like, why?
Were
Why
they
even?
CGI?
Yes, they were.
They were. Like I was kind of like not looking that intently.
It's
that
like,
point.
why waste the money on CGI birds?
know.
Just have no birds. You know what I mean? And also the whole movie exists in like this like Atropolis like fake
Yeah, what is it?
city.
Yeah, like Panamera or
It was like a
something.
super city, like Florida meets Panama meets like
Something. Yeah,
Dubai.
it's very.
It
It's
was
like
supposed
a
yeah, it was supposed to be like a high tech again, like with the astro projecting father
right.
thing and like the city and the tech. It just reminded me of Black Panther.
Yeah, there is some elements of
And
that too.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean. It's just if this DC movie would have came out earlier, because it was better than the Flash, in my opinion. The Flash was really garbage.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that. I can't remember what I gave the Flash, but
So my problem. Oh, the Flash was not that great. My problem with
you thought
the
this was better than the Flash?
I did.
Wow.
My problem with the movie is that it had high quality stuff in 75% of the movie. Some of the CGI was the bad character was but
Hmm.
the acting was good.
Can we talk about the end now?
Let's do it.
Okay, real quick. The big moment is the heavy, the bad guy that he fights, whatever, the mini boss or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
him.
mini boss.
He like decides not to kill him, or he's prevented from killing him and reminded that he's not a killer and all this stuff. And then cut to 2 seconds later, the bad guy drags Susan Sarandon to her death, and this is a defenseless older woman being dragged, and he just watches. Shouldn't he have like stepped in like, "Hey
Right.
man, that's
He's-
not cool," you
So
know?
his whole moral thing is we're not killers.
And then he watches
No
her
tragedies,
He
yeah.
does absolutely nothing to prevent her from being essentially
He's just
murdered.
he's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not doing it, but so I'm not guilty. But
He's like- he's
let
very
that
brazen.
old let that old chick explode.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Oh man,
That's another thing. The Blue Beetle's superpowers is that anything it can imagine, it can do.
What's
and
that from?
That's
That's
from
from
Spawn.
Oh, is that from Spawn?
And Spawn's Marvel. It
Yeah,
just
that's right.
it's still
Wow.
it's
Actually, wait, is Spawn Marvel?
Spawn
no,
is
Spawn
Marvel.
is Image. I think it's a different comic. I think it is.
maybe
I don't think it's Marvel.
I may be wrong.
Yeah, for real.
But
Spawn is
they
like
took
from
that
its-
from Spawn.
It's a really independent. I don't even think they're around anymore. Like Image Comics or something. I think it was
Probably
early
probably.
'90s. Yeah.
But that's my issue with the movie. It wasn't a bad movie, but I had low expectations going in. I was entertained, but let's talk about let's talk about the plot.
What's there to talk about?
It's
Is it
basic.
anything new or different?
The world is hard. We can't pay for rent. We lost our
Haves,
job.
has nots. You know,
Rich versus poor.
Right.
Looking into this super city, and then they're in like the ghetto in a shack.
and there was a lot of
Big Brother esque anti.
and it very much had a point of view about like undocumented immigrants. That was kind of that was very much pounded the audience with that.
Yeah,
and, everything.
George Lopez was kind of hitting that home. You know,
Well,
what I
he was
mean?
actually he was kind of like the the conspiracy theorist guy. He was an interesting character. I
He
thought.
wasn't bad.
He was cool.
He had some funny moments because he's
Yeah,
George
comic
Lopez.
relief. Yeah, sure.
That's one thing I can appreciate about this movie. It doesn't destroy you with just joke after joke after joke. It was like, okay, that was good. Okay, that was good. Leave it at that.
Right.
A couple jokes weren't, you know what I mean? There was
I got to hear your number. What's your number?
I'm like I feel guilty for giving it a low number because I know it's it's the last installment of the DC universe.
It really is.
It
huh?
is.
Wow.
And so
I mean, it's not going to be the last DC movie. It's just they're going to reboot everything.
Yes.
Okay, got
yes.
it. Yeah.
But that being said, the post credit scenes, which there were, we'll talk about it. I want to give it for a DC movie. It's one of the better ones for out of the ones that they made because I've watched them all and a lot of them suck. I give this one a 7 out of 10.
Wow.
I don't want to
That
give.
is high.
Hold on, I don't want to give any more 0.5s. Otherwise, I would give it.
7 is high.
Otherwise, I would give it a 6.5. But because I'm not giving
What,
0.5s
what's
anymore,
rounding it up for you? What's rounding it up?
I'm rounding it up to a 7 because it had high production value. It wanted to be a good story. It wanted to be a good superhero movie, but it was just too late in the game, and it was copying too much from other superhero movies. And the ending and the bad guy and the casting for the bad guys didn't stick at all.
Man, that's a lot of negatives, and you're giving it a 7. My number is a 5, and that even might be arguably I could even go lower, but I'll stick with a
Okay.
5 because they did try their hard. Well, they did try and do they did a decent job. It's an average movie. Production value, sure, but the CGI looked phony to me in a lot of moments. But that's the nature of CGI. I don't know. It's like an art form. It has to be done so perfectly for it to like look convincing, right? So five. That five's my number. Yeah, it's an average movie. The actors were good. It was good acting. But Susan Sarandon was a terrible casting choice.
I agree.
Yeah, did nothing for me.
See now, let me just take a step back. For a DC movie, I give it a 7.
What is that? But what is it as a movie?
As a movie, I give it a 6. As a movie, it's a 6. But for a DC movie, it's not a bad DC movie. So take that.
So it's better than the average DC movie.
It
Like
was
what
better
is
than The Flash.
what is it? So yeah, you said the Flash.
It was
yeah.
way better than The Flash.
I don't know. I think the Flash is better.
There was a lot of CGI in this, but only at the very end. And there were pretty decent practical effects and a real costume on the actual guy. And you know what I mean? There weren't CGI explosions. There was some real fire here and there. Let's talk about the product placement, which was
Toyota Tacoma.
Toyota Tacoma. Whatever. First of all, it was pretty funny. They called it a taco, which I'm sure a lot of Toyota
Right.
Tacoma fans will enjoy.
Sure.
It was George Lopez's truck that he loved, and
it was
you know,
all like tweaked out or
yeah,
whatever.
it was decked out. And then of course, a man loves his truck and he wouldn't let no one drive it. It got shot to all crap, you know what I mean? And it still ran, which I'm sure, like throughout the whole movie it gets
The
beat
Toyota
up.
executives were happy about that.
They were like, no matter what happens, that Toyota's in the entire movie and it runs no matter what. They missed a joke. They could have been like, yeah, it got shot 50 times, but it'll run.
It'll run.
It'll
Yeah,
run.
that's the line, right?
At the very end, product placement of the 2024.
Which is a nice looking truck.
It
yeah,
does.
Not
It
even
does.
gonna lie. Yeah.
And they didn't really show it too much. They
It's just
kind
a
of
glimpse. Yeah.
glimpse, you know what I mean? But yeah, the Toyota Tacoma was probably funding some of this movie.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Kidding? Of course they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a product placement in there with
We're
that.
we're running a little long, but we're just gonna talk about the post credit scene, right? Which again, it reminds me of them stealing a bit of Tron Legacy.
You think?
Getting inside the computer.
If anything, it
The
kind of gave me
father.
vibes of, you ever seen Watchmen?
That too, with-
the owl guy
Yeah.
with all this
Yeah.
stuff and like it's how do you even do anything original now? I can't even fault them for that.
I guess.
I don't think they were deliberately saying like this is going to be like Tron or this is going to be like this.
I feel
it's
like
just there's
that's what
vibes.
they did,
you know,
though.
you really think they went
I
for that?
feel like they were just the writers.
They
were
may have
going,
been influenced, but
Yeah, I guess, but at the same time, it's like just make your own character with its own story.
dude, it's impossible. Everything's been done.
It's
What are you gonna do?
It's superhero movie syndrome
You gave it a 7. That's wild.
for a DC movie.
It's, I mean, so The Flash, you say it's better than. Give me another movie it's better than in the DC universe.
The one with everyone, Batman v Superman. That one sucked.
Wait, are you talking about? You don't mean Justice League? Do you mean Justice League? or do you
Batman
mean,
versus Superman.
Batman
Whatever.
versus
Yeah,
Superman.
the Justice League was its.
I
it
thought
was a
there were
different
some.
Movie.
I thought there were better moments in that. Than I don't know. I don't know.
No.
That they're about. No,
Yeah,
I'd give
see what I
Batman and
mean?
Superman a little edge on that one. But and
That's
there's a
just
lot of
because you
problems.
like the superheroes more.
Yeah, you're right. That's a true statement.
Yeah, it's
And
biased.
it's very biased. And honestly, the DC movies, except for Man of Steel, like the current DCU, Man of Steel, I really liked. There's probably some other ones I really liked. Sorry,
we're running on 14
We're going
minutes.
off on
We're going
tangents
off.
here. Yeah.
We try to keep it short just so people can actually digest this in one sitting.
Right. Rewatchability.
Rewatchability, I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
2.
2. That might be the lowest score you've ever
That might be
done.
my lowest rewatchability. Maybe that's not fair, but it just popped in my head too.
It's
I'm
a
going
long
2.
movie.
Over 2 hours. Yeah, it was.
They could have chopped 15, 20 minutes off of this.
It doesn't
easy.
deserve to be 2 hours or more.
It doesn't.
Doesn't deserve it.
That's just why I feel bad, because they spent a lot of money. The acting's good, and it's apparently the second lowest opening for a DC movie.
I mean, nobody knows who Blue Beetle is. I mean, what do you
Yeah,
expect?
you're
Yeah,
right.
he's a very low on the totem pole character.
I blame the trailers being for not really
You think they could have? You think you could have made a better
They
trailer
could have
with the material?
with what I saw. They could have done a better trailer.
Let me tell you something. If they had cast like a badass or like a woman actress who you could be like, damn, she is evil, or I do want to see her, get her comeuppance. Maybe it would have given, maybe given it a couple more points or a point and a half or whatever. But Susan Sarandon was just so lame. It was just so pathetic, and it was just like, who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
It was a cash grab for her.
Sure, why not?
So 6 and a 5 out of 10.
Rewatchability for me is a 2.
I give it a 3. Just because it's got some cool fight scenes. You know what I mean?
And I think they were not that cool.
They weren't super cool, but they were okay.
You're already second guessing yourself.
Man, the movie was entertaining, but again,
yeah, it was all right.
It's
a 5. It's average.
It's foreshadowed by the fact that DC is over.
Yeah, it kind of colors it, doesn't it? It's like, it's sad. It's over. Does. Yeah.
Decent ending though. At least they're ending with a okay-ish movie. It wasn't The Flash to end it all, which horrible. Don't go see it.
Boy, you really hate The Flash.
I say go see this movie one time.
Okay.
Once.
It's a one and done.
If you got a child, you know what I mean, and they're bored and they want to see a superhero movie, and
you want to spend $100,
and you're the parent, and you're like, fine. Let's go.
Sure, why not?
Blue Beetle.
You got nothing else to do. Yeah, you got money to burn.
Yeah, it is expensive. Yeah, I wouldn't know. Take it back.
Take it back.
Wait for it to come out on Netflix, y'all.
Right.
Or Disney Plus or whoever. DC
it won't be
goes
Disney
with.
Plus. Yeah, it'll be like someone else. Yeah.
Right. All right, guys. We're wrapping it up. That's it. Blue Beetle, not great, and don't waste your money.
It's mid.
It's mid tier. All right, guys. See ya.